Has this been multiplying? Like, tell me the impact you're seeing this have on Columbus, and has it gone past Columbus? Is it pretty much, is it rooted in that
Yeah,
region?
it's so now it's gone beyond Columbus, which is exciting. It is multiplying in a beautiful way. It's trying to make sure it stays faithful to what God has called us to in each step. But as a guy leads multiple groups even of the foundation, it just ingrains it even more in their own life to be about it and be excited for it and seeing the ways that is helping out their marriages. We've seen dads be baptized. We've now seen dads give up alcohol and saying, like, you know what? I was an alcoholic before. I need to be an intentional dad. I can't be doing that. We started out with about 40 dads when we launched in two schools. And now we are up to about 300 dads involved in about 25 schools, churches, and workplaces, both here in Central Ohio. Most of them are obviously here in Central Ohio around Columbus, but we're also now down in Cincinnati and up in the Akron, Canton area, as well as launching some in Pennsylvania and in Jersey. So it's growing. Part of that is thankfully by the network God has given over the years. When I was in collegiate ministry, I was involved in regional leadership for a dozen years, which allowed me to form relationships with a bunch of pastors. And when they heard that I was up to something new, they're like, Mike, when you're ready, just let us know. We want to get on board. And because they know that my love for the local church is that deep, churches are excited to come on board with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I wanted to hear more about that. So every time I've seen these kinds of approaches to disciple making that are kind of beyond the church, parachurch is always a little bit, I never quite know how to think about that label, but they're not necessarily bound to a particular expression of the church or particular denomination. It sounds
Mhm.
like you guys are, yeah, talk to me. So I know that sometimes these can be like very much hit or miss. Some churches probably are like really excited. Others might be more concerned about like, is it homegrown? We already have a small group strategy. Is this going to take away from some stuff we're doing? So, yeah, what are you finding has been helpful in partnering with churches? Is that the primary kind of growth strategy, or is that just like one of the pipelines? It sounds like you guys are in
Yeah.
schools as well. Talk to me a little bit about what you're
Mhm.
finding is really, how does this thing kind of grow and expand?
Yeah, I think the church is going to become more and more primary for us
Okay.
in the growth and expansion. I think we will continue with schools and workplaces and even our communities. But I truly believe that if the parachurch is not making the local bride of Christ more beautiful, it is being unfaithful to its mission. God has ordained the church for its role in cultural transformation. He has ordained the family. And those are the two things that we got to be about in our work here.
What would you say to a pastor, given what you just said, that the church and the family, that this, like, how do you describe why it's important then for a parachurch ministry to jump in? Is there something that church is struggling with that you've noticed? Like, is this an area where having someone with more focused expertise with dads in particular? Yeah, talk to me a little bit about why you think that is like why that's occurred, why that has been effective.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of churches, healthy churches, have great men's ministries, but they don't have anything focused on dads. And they have maybe a fantastic moms group
Mm,
happening because moms, it's either easier to get them together and do things together. It's hard work to gather dads together.
mm,
They don't have the ability to carve out the time or figure that out. And so the fact that our material is time bound in that it's 6 sessions of sorts
mm,
allows it to not take the place of other ministry efforts that are ongoing. And that's the in-between stuff that can sometimes happen is if you're just meeting once a month, you have other opportunities, be it in a worship or in other gatherings of the church, to check in with each other
mm.
on how you're doing, because we're giving you a similar language to share with other dads and grow with other dads. I have yet to meet a pastor who's like, no, I don't want to develop my dads
Mm.
in the church. And again, if the dad can have confidence in discipling on the home front and shepherding on the home front, that is going to give them such better confidence in doing it in the church.
I'm trying to remember if Derek was mentioning that Is there some of these like monthly groups where you have a larger group of guys together and you break down into is that one of the ways you guys do this?
Some of the group, one of the groups is like 20 dads. And
Okay.
so they gather together. They kind of do an organization. They talk through and check in with each other and even pray over each other. And then they'll break up into small
Okay.
groups
Yeah.
together. But most of the groups are 6 to 9 dads. If a church is like, well, we got 18 dads interested, fantastic. Let's have 2 groups going.
Okay.
I like the 6 to 9 level because that allows for intimacy of relationship with one another.
Yeah.
The 2 to 3, the reason why we don't do that smaller model, though it has its place for sure for discipleship,
Yeah.
is if a dad says, hey, I can't make it, you feel like, we can't really meet this week. We got to try to reschedule. And then you're always doing the reschedule game.
Okay.
We ask dads in the beginning of the book, we have a commitment of pursuing faithfulness together that they sign.
Okay.
That says, one, they're going to make this a priority. Like when we set up time, and we're going to be there. 2, this does not replace any of what they're doing in their local church. So if they're not a member of their church or a regular attender at their church, they can't be involved in the cohort yet. They need to be first
Okay.
regular in their church family
Okay.
before they can be plugged into a cohort.